We are live. It is Sunday here at the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. Got a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to condense it and make a little bit more fuss for some other topics on a future broadcast. So it is Sunday. We're almost we're past the midway mark of August, and you know you can't make this up about KCBS. And look, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they're worse than a dead horse, and they're worth beating up because they're just so plainly bad and incompetent that they need to be called out. And yes, I'm going to call them out as long as they're on the air and as long as they put incompetent people on the air and as long as they are being led. You could put that word led in quotes. I'm going to call them out because I remember when KCBS was a real heralded institution, and what they have done to it, the desecration that has taken place, is utterly pathetic. You want comedy? You don't have to go to a comedy show. You don't have to go to old YouTubes and watch Johnny Carson, although that would be a lot better in a serious way as far as comedy. Go to KCBS. Sunday morning was an absolute mess, beyond a mess, just completely indicative of an absolute crap show. Or as one and many of their colleagues who used to work at KCBS label it, the shit show personified. I can't talk. It's too early. I haven't had my coffee yet. The shit show personified. They do this show, kind of their community show, which they've completely fucked up too. It's called In Depth, hosted by the amazingly incompetent and boring Mary Hughes, who talks like this and kind of tries to accentuate words as if to say, listen to me, I used to work at an NPR station. Now I am at KCB. That's how she talks. I am at KCBS, where I really don't know the geography. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm going to talk like this to make it sound as if I'm very important and the subject that I'm covering will get more emphasis. That's how she talks. So on Sunday, this is the funniest thing I have ever heard amongst many funniest thing I've ever heard. So they are doing In Depth, which is, again, that's their 30-minute show that used to be really good and is now crappy because they screwed it up and they put wind chimes in the background and it's boring topics. They used to do like interviews of politicians and city leaders and what have you. And now it's completely run amok. So they had a show on dealing with, you think, maybe, who knows, because we never heard it, this Russian, the detainees that were in Russia that were recently freed, basically spies from their end, or what they thought were spies, which were not the case on our end. So, okay, decent topic, timely. How about they never announced this topic at the beginning of In Depth because there was dead air. Then they had the introduction of the host, in this case, Mary Hughes and Mike DeWall, because you couldn't hear them because they had the music buried the two talking heads. You literally could not hear them. When you turned up the volume, suddenly dead air. Then they had these audio plays that were all mangled, like, and then it went to dead air. And then they got it right. But guess what? They have some talking head guests talking about the Russian prisoner exchange, Americans. And you didn't know the guy's name. You didn't hear the intro. This went on for about 5 minutes, folks. That's a lot of dead air and just out and out. They screwed it up. So we have this guy talking. You don't know what his name is. You don't know who he is. And it went on and on and on and on and on. They eventually got it right, but you don't know who the guy was. They never alluded to his name. And you have these two incompetent people. I'll give DeWalt credit. At least he sounded okay and human. And then you had Mary DeWalt, who was talking like this. And I started laughing. And I laughed real hard. You couldn't make it up. Maybe they can highlight how the fuck they get incompetent people working there and focus it in their new beautiful South Bay Bureau. Ceiling on her way out the door to a reward. She's going to be some kind of management head at Odyssey, currently 4 cents a stock. Ridiculous. All right, let's turn the page and go to Dwayne Kyper. Remember him? On the Giants broadcast, he's helping his brother. It's part of a PR campaign, folks. His brother is Glenn Kyper, who was fired last year by the Oakland A's, pretty much told to go away by baseball and its establishment for using the N-word. Not just once, although this was the biggest overusage of this slur, but twice. And now the Kyper PR campaign trying to get I knew that was going to happen, trying to get Glenn Kyper back into a broadcast gig is taking place with the help of the head cheerleader who goes around saying she's a writer, a beat reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle now, and Marty Lurie, who I've often complimented. Marty Lurie, for some reason, I guess he's a friend of this Kyper, is trying to help Glenn Kyper. So Susan Slusser writes this very sympathetic article about Glenn Kyper and quotes Glenn's brother, Dwayne, who's trying to get brother Glenn with an assist from another brother, Jeff, who happens to be the director of the Giants broadcast for Comcast, back into a gig. It's all orchestrated. It was Dwayne Kyper nudging Susan Slusser to write an article, which she did, and Marty Lurie helping one of the Kyper brothers, Glenn, do a gig on KNBR on Sunday mornings. Now, not many people listen to that show, but whatever. It's popular to some degree, so you have that. And then Marty Lurie having on Susan Slusser on Saturday, talking about the mentioning of Glenn Kyper and his slur, which he has done. I wasn't aware the first time, but I was well aware of May of last year when he uttered the N-word, didn't apologize for several minutes, and now knowing the fact that he used another slur, the N-word, in spring training a few years before that. I have no sympathy for this Kyper guy. And as far as Dwayne Kyper using the power that he has apparently within the Giants to get Glenn Kyper onto these various gigs and try to revitalize his career, and nudging Susan Slusser to write a very, 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 as I said, very sympathetic article. All of this kind of coming to a head. I don't think it's going to work. I think that you use a word like that and don't immediately apologize, and perhaps there's an inner conscious of racism with regards to the Kuipers. I'm not going to come out and call them out for that. I'll let the public do that. I myself, personally, I don't trust this guy anymore. I think he's whatever he is. My whole gripe about Glenn Kyper was it took him a good hour before he apologized, and it was a half-baked apology. It didn't look good. Anyway, the story here is you have all these forces utilizing the influence, whatever that is, they have to get Glenn Kyper back into the domain. I don't think it's going to work, but whatever. I think the slur is out there, and therefore, and it's very vivid. If you watch the video, you know what I'm talking about. But, all these people getting all this influence out there and trying to get this guy back onto the broadcast wing. I don't think it's going to work. I keep saying that. And to know that Slusser got nudged by Dwayne Kyper, too many Kuipers. And I've been told they're very powerful. And the Giants are trying to help out here because they've allowed Glenn Kyper to be a part of the pregame shows on the weekend on Sunday. And, they want to try to do something, but they won't do it. And they're doing it. All of these folks are doing it behind kind of, sneakily getting him back in. And the manner in which they're doing this is kind of repulsive in my world. All right, folks, it is Sunday. I hope you have a great day. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. If you're watching live, thank you. Please make a contribution to my site. Become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And also, if you want to interact, it's rich.lieberman@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, comments, again, please make a contribution. I will personally thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.